Brian Hensel, City of Missoula Street Maintenance Division Superintendent.
All right, Brian. I can't even imagine what the Christmas weekend was for you guys. Tell me, how many snowplow drivers work for the city? How many were out there working starting Christmas Eve and laboring all night?
Well, we had all available crew out starting at about 10 a.m. on Christmas Eve, and they worked 16 hours until it was probably about 4 a.m. the next day. I gave them their 8 hours of break, and then they all went back at it again. We had anywhere between 5 and 7 plows working 16 hours, and then Monday I think they did 10 on Monday.
All right. So now I understand that you folks have a protocol that you have to follow, especially for schools and main thoroughfares and things like that. But on a weekend or a holiday, does that change at all?
Well, what we try to do on weekends is you probably have all heard me talk about the priority ones,
yes,
which
sir.
are all the main routes in town and all the steeper streets in town. On weekends, that's what we concentrate on. That's what we usually always do. And then this time, however, the guys got the ones in pretty good shape by about late Sunday. And so I called them in again on Monday, and they started going into priority twos, which is unusual. But because of the amount of snow we had and people were having trouble getting out, I said, hey, let's just start knocking on this right now. And so guys came in. So the ones were in pretty good shape for the most part, and a lot of the twos had been hit also this weekend.
All right. Now, what are the priority twos, Brian?
Those are still fairly busy streets, but they'd have less volume than a one. Typically, they're bus routes. There's places where there's maybe steep grades up in the hills, and all this stuff is on our website. You can access it on the City of Missoula's website under Street Division, and there's a map that shows all of our priorities. And I think over 65% of all the city streets are priority 1, 2, or 3. We were working on ones and a lot of twos over the weekend, and then we are continuing to work on twos, threes, and I'm hoping even getting into some residentials today. That may be a little of a stretch.
Fantastic. All right. So now I understand that because of the sheer volume of the snow, that you have to get a message out to folks that there may be a little bit of difficulty for residential folks, right?
Well, what we're running into is that since some of the streets hadn't been plowed since the start of Christmas Eve, is that now we're trying to get in there. We have to get a lot of these plowed. A lot of people are having difficulty. And so we're trying to minimize the size of the berms as we get into these unplowed, either residentials or priority threes, and even some of the twos. And so understandably so, we're creating berms parked in front of parked vehicles, mailboxes, and driveways. And unfortunately, we have to rely on the homeowners to help remove those berms. And I certainly understand it's an inconvenience, but we don't have a choice. There's no way I can remove all the berms for 15,000 some driveways and residences. So we have to ask the people to help us with that. And then what a lot of times what a lot of folks are doing, and I just don't understand this, but they'll be clearing driveways or sidewalks or their berms, and they're pushing them back out into the street, and even on streets that have been plowed. And I really would hope folks don't do that. They're creating a hazard for the traveling public, and it just doesn't make any sense. And if someone gets in an accident because someone threw a bunch of snow out, even say from a parking lot or from a driveway, I ask that folks try to use a little sense and throw your snow to the side or onto the yard. I mean, it's good for your grass. And then especially with some of the commercial guys that are out plowing parking lots, pick a spot in the parking area and don't put it out in the street. I got a few places where people have removed snow in the parking areas, and they've blocked some of them even out into the driving lanes, and that just doesn't make any sense. And there's so much snow, and I realize that we all have to share places where the berms are available, especially on on-street parking. But we got to be able to get the streets open. So if folks could help with that, I'd sure appreciate it.
It might be a pretty good idea for folks to keep an eye on their elderly neighbors or shut-ins and make sure that their sidewalks and driveways are plowed.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can help your neighbors out, I'd sure appreciate it, and I know a lot of folks would. Just keep in mind, it's not up to me I'm not in charge of sidewalk snow removal, but I will say that we make every effort not to plow our snow berms on sidewalks. And there's been a couple instances so far that we have done it, and we're trying to get back on it, take care of that. But there's so much snow, the berms are big. I heard, Peter, maybe you can correct me, that this has been the most snow that we've had over a Christmas since '96. I'd ask you that the public please be patient. patient. We're trying to get caught up on everything, and I think we did a pretty good job. And I had a lot of dedicated crew that pretty much did not have any Christmas, and they actually put a dent in this, and I was surprised at how much work we did get done on the priority ones. And we're continuing to go after it, and we will get ahead of it. Hopefully, it doesn't snow anymore.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's got to be tough to clear a street, then it snows so much. A couple hours later, you got to do it again.
And that's that's always the way it goes in the winter. And that's one thing I appreciate you bringing that up, is that if we do get more snow, then we're going to have to start back over again on the priority ones, and then the 2s and the 3s and so forth. So bear with us. We're trying to get everything done we can. We got a good start on doing downtown also, so I got to work on that. So it would be nice if we didn't get any snow for the next week or two, and I could get all this done.
I'll put in my request for you.
Yeah, please do. And as always, everyone can feel free to call the street division at 552-6360 if they have questions. And then we have information online, as I say before, also